the one that's.
Sure. You have a lot of institutional knowledge on the issue.
No, well, that's what I was going to say. I probably have the most knowledge on that very question. The fact is, the county dug in their heels. When we initially negotiated a drop, we wanted a more expansive drop program, not only to include the resident supervisors, but all civilians that work within the county and our correctional facilities, because we believe they're exposed to same level of risk. And we had to, cut a deal, if you will, at the time to carve out the resident supervisors as well as the civilian employees for the greater good and get the correctional officers, uniformed correctional officers. But there was no logic to it then. There isn't any logic to it now. But it's one of those situations where employers tend to dig in their heels for no apparent reason. And that's the brutal truth of the history here. Now, the county may give you a different answer, but I was at the bargaining.
Well, I have a follow-up question to that, and I want to turn to Ms. Hartling. But is the intention here to come back for the civilian employees as well and include in this?
Let me answer it with some brief background. Okay, if you look at where we're hemorrhaging employees, public safety is certainly one of the areas, and we're faced with that in transit as well. But we've put together a strategy to hopefully stop the bleeding there. That'll be coming before you soon. But Fairfax County offers a drop program for all employees. They don't differentiate. And the wisdom there is because they want to, in a very competitive market, they want to be able to maintain the expertise and continuity of services and keep people on board and have the luxury of time to do a deeper recruitment and assessment process of replacement candidates. So there's no disruption in the services. That, quite frankly, was the whole theory behind drop to begin with in public safety. That's more true today than ever before. To answer your question specifically, sure, we're going to go back to the bargaining table and try to expand it to additional public safety personnel. We'll either be successful or we won't. But in this instance, there's no definitive difference between the PRC correctional staff, and I do want to correct something for the record. Mr. Drummer said they do not oversee folks in a facility. They very much do. If you visited the PR center, that is a secure correctional facility. The only difference is there's no bars, and the inmates leave. Part of the condition of being there is they go on to a job, but they come back. But we have the same challenges and threats and all those sorts of things at the PRC that we have in the other two facilities. The other thing is at PRC, our resident supervisors had maintained the same certifications as a uniformed correctional officer. So there was never any logic behind excluding them. Again, it was just a line drawn in the sand.
God, thank you, Miss.
That might be more than what you asked for, but I want to.
But I appreciate it. I appreciate the institutional background. Ms. Harlan, anything to add to that?
Not really. My understanding is simply that the employer's mindset on this issue changed and evolved as the position and the duties required and the certifications required also evolved. So that as time went on, it became clear that this position was more aligned with the correctional officer position, and so we needed to address this inequity.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like that's a different explanation, but I appreciate the different perspective. Either the role changed or the roles didn't change. There was a negotiation, and the people negotiating maybe changed. But anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in that. I think it would be helpful subsequent to this just to have staff provide an analysis of what the additional resident employee costs would be, the actuarial costs. not contingent on this vote or anything like that. I just think since it's part of the broader conversation, I think it would be helpful to understand, what the dynamics of that would be. So I just wanted to request that. It can be separate from this, but I think it would be helpful to us. On the actuarial analysis, I guess the total is about $200,000 for these 20 employees. Ms. Herman, could you just explain how that works? I mean, my understanding of the drop program, which is the main aspect of this change, is that you say you're going to retire, their 3-year clock starts, and when the 3-year clock starts, where you have to retire within that time frame, you get paid for as if you had retired into a specific account, the retirement amount into a drop account, and then you continue to get paid your salary for the work that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. I don't want to say you're getting double paid, but you're getting paid in two different ways. So isn't the obligation at that point where the county would have to pay your retirement into that? Is the actuarial assumption just annualizing those costs which would be obligated at that point, or is there actually an encumbrance year in and year out for each of these employees? Like, are we saving for the money, so to speak, within the retirement system, or is that changing the contribution?
When a person elects to enter drop, we calculate their retirement benefit at that point in time. They make an election towards what distribution option they would like, joint and survivor, setting something aside for their spouse, and so forth. And that money, you're right, a council member goes into an account and they pick an investment option. So, but the cost to the county, based on our experience with our drop plans that go back to 1999, police was the first drop, and then fire came after that, and then McGeo, as Bob pointed out, after that. Our experience is that people actually work longer than their normal retirement date before they enter drop. So if they know they have to leave in 3 years, they actually stay on average about an extra year and a half. That extra year and a half of service is what's costing the plan, an estimate. We don't know what will happen with this particular group, but the actuary, based on experience with the correctional officers, with fire, with police, our experience has been it's an extra year and a half of service, which means we're going to pay a greater benefit to them when they elect to enter drop. And the amount isn't 200,000 because we're actually moving these folks from Group J to Group E. And so we're going to move the assets that support the liability over there. The net impact is actually about 25,000 for this group of 19 folks.
And that's exclusive of the drop contributions?
Well, the drop contributions, remember, they're going to get paid their retirement, whether they're in drop, it goes into an account, or they actually left the county. So we make certain actuarial assumptions that, let's take a correction officer, is going to stay 30 years. We know when we started the drop program, that 30 years may have gone to 30 years and 6 months before they decided to enter drop. They can enter drop anytime after they're eligible for normal retirement. So they actually end up working a little more. By working longer, that liability is greater because now they have 6 months or a year and a half more service in the retirement plan. That additional service results in a larger retirement benefit and more cost to the plan.
Got it. So the drop contribution, you're assuming they would have retired anyway at that exact moment. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but we'll assume that that's the assumption that we're making. And then the additional cost to the county is the fact that they're working for longer, which frankly is what we want to have happen anyway. I mean, that's the whole point of providing the benefit, is that we want to keep folks longer. Okay. All right. Last, I appreciate that. Sorry, did you have any? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say the whole background on drop for public safety is these are critical positions. And having that staggered knowledge of when they're actually going to leave the county even though they can come back in a year and a half and say, I want to exit drop, I don't want to stay 3 years. Most of the time they are staying the 3 years based on our experience. So the whole point of that drop is that you have those positions covered while the department transitions somebody into their role.
Right, particularly in public safety where it's
Right.
recruiting class based, it's a much different process for onboarding new personnel. I understand. So thank you for that. Last question. There's a question of timing, and I heard at least one colleague, if not both colleagues, say that we ought to do this now. And I don't have necessarily an issue with that. But is there a functional difference from a cost standpoint based on our contribution to the plan, whether the bill is enacted today or whether it's enacted, closer to the budget? I mean, it would seem to me that because it's a contribution timing issue with fiscal year 23, the fiscal year 22 is already passed. So the timing is a distinction without a difference as long as we do it for fiscal year 23. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct. There isn't any additional cost for this year. When we do the next actuarial valuation, June 30 next year, this will be factored in. So there's no additional cost this year.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the indulgence of colleagues. I'm happy to support the will of the committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Friedson, and you are always welcome to ask questions in this committee regardless of whatever anybody has said. So appreciate the questions and the answers. Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is that without objection, we are going to adopt the bill as introduced.
That's what I heard. Yep.
Yep, that's what I heard too.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we,
Got
with
it.
that, have taken a vote. We adopted the bill as introduced, and we will then take that to the full council. Okay, everybody, well, have a great day. Stay safe. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Disorder is a lifelong struggle for those who are afflicted by it. It doesn't go away easily, and people will spend their lives trying to stay in recovery, and that is a perpetual state of being. It is not something that happens in the moment. And so while we've made great strides in destigmatizing this, and it's important that we destigmatize this, this is no different than any other illness that people encounter. It needs to be treated as something that happens to people, not as something that somebody has done wrong. And when you're addicted, there's no easy way out. This society has a great deal of responsibility for the rates of addiction. When you think about the opioids and the criminal activities of major corporations in terms of making sure they could pump these drugs into the community without a thought for where they were, where they're being used. I think you all have seen the stories about jurisdictions where they had more opioids going into them than they had people there, and that nobody noticed that there was a bit of a discrepancy, that nobody could be taking these many drugs unless they're abusing them. So if you want to talk about, the people who've been victims of this, we need to talk about the people who create this problem as well. They have a responsibility, and we have a responsibility when we get the opportunity to prosecute them and divest them of the money that they took from people in the process of doing this. It is just wrong for the culprits who caused this to walk away from it as if, hey, not my problem. Well, it is your problem. The most effective way to manage and mitigate the negative effects is to have treatment and to have consistent and solid treatment. And that's what we're going to be able to provide here. I'm so excited about the expansion in capacity. I will say we probably need another building this size. I mean, we all know the needs exceed the beds. We've never had the beds in this county to deal with this. We've talked about a sobering type center that we need in the county for temporary. It is ridiculous that we take people and throw them in jail. It's ridiculous. We take homeless people who are suffering from substance abuses and mental health issues, and their behavior puts them in a jail instead of a treatment facility. So we're going to continue to work to try to fill out the programs we need to put in place. Nice wind.